Hello and happy Sunday afternoon. Sorry, this is a little bit later this week. Had other things going on. I decided that our theory lesson this week would be just kind of giving you some more help on counting in 2/4, because based on some of your homework that I got, it seemed like we've forgotten some things that we probably used to know. Also, I had to change locations for making this video, and the lighting is not as great, so I promise that I'm not a ghost. But this is the best I could do lighting-wise, so bear with me. And I'm going to share my whiteboard with you, and let's get started. All right, so we have 2/4 measure. Here's the time signature up here where it says 2 and 4. What this means, you should know, is 2 beats per measure, and the quarter note equals 1 beat. So we have 2 beats per measure, which means we don't have any 3s or 4s in this counting, because it only goes up to 2. That's what this top number means. It's a lot of homework with 3s and 4s on them, so that tells me that there's a miscommunication on what we're talking about. If you're unsure of what a measure is, or if you've forgotten from beginning band, a measure is only just a way to show us the distance between one bar line to the next. So what's a bar line? Bar lines are the vertical lines that go up and down in the staff. So here's from this bar line over here to this bar line, this space is 1 measure. And in that 1 measure, there can only be 2 beats. And how long is a beat in 2/4? It's a quarter note length. So that's what all of this tells you to do. All of this information is in this 1, 2, 4 thing. So it's a very quick way of saying all of the things that I typed out above. At the very end of the song, this arrow is pointing to a double bar, and that shows the end of the song, or sometimes a section, but most often the song. So if you have just single lines, that means it's just a measure, and a double bar is at the end of a song. Shows you that it's finally over. All right, so I've written here count and clap, and there's already counts written in for you. Here in the second measure is the syncopated rhythm that we were working on last week. Syncopation is when you put the emphasis on a weak part of the beat. And typically our emphasis is on beat 1 or beat 2, but mostly on 1. And here the accent is in the middle. If you look at the counting underneath the syncopation, we have beat 1. We always start with 1, no matter what kind of note is. At the beginning of a measure is always 1. A couple people put and here, probably because they were acknowledging that this is an 8th note, and that's only half a beat. That's true, but it's the first half of the beat, not the second half of the beat. So at the beginning of a measure is always beat 1. So here in this quarter note is the second half of beat 1. This is why the and 2 is kind of squished together, because this quarter note represents the and of beat 1 and the first half of beat 2. Okay, so think about that. This quarter note is the and of beat 1 and the first half of beat 2. So the second half of beat 2 is this 8th note. So we have a 1 and 2 and. Right? If we start, whoops, that little dot doesn't need to be there. If we start with this 8th rest, which is what this is, if you can't tell by my bad drawing, it's still the same. This is still the first half of beat 1. It's not and just because it's a rest. It's still beat 1. It's the first half of it, and here's the second half. Beat 2, here's the second half. If you have a half note, that's the whole measure, because we have beats 1 and 2 represented in that half note. There aren't any whole notes in a 2/4 measure because we can't have 4 beats. Okay, so if we were going to clap this and we were going 1, 2, 1 and 2, 1 and 2, and 1 and 2, and 1, 2. Okay, let's do that one more time. Ready, go. 1 and 2, 1 and 2, and 1 and 2, and 1, 2. And I hope you actually clapped and counted it out loud. If I can do it, you can too. So please don't just sit there, but actually count it again. Last chance. Don't give up and don't just sit there. Ready? 1, 2. 1 and 2. 1 and 2. And 1 and 2. And 1, 2. Notice I keep my clapping together for the half note to signify that that note, if you were playing it, would go all the way through beats 1 and 2. Okay? One more thing to share with you. I created a worksheet for you to give you some more practice, and this will be in your email, but it won't play it for you like I'm going to now. It will just be the worksheet that you can print out and then bring to me in class. All right, so this first stanza, or the first line, I have done all the work for you. I wrote the rhythm, I noted where the syncopation was, and I wrote the counting underneath. This is to show you exactly what I want you to do for the homework, okay? So this first rhythms, each one of these are really kind of a separate thing. I put a bar of rest in between so that it was easy to see where the next one started and you could have a chance to catch up if you were behind, okay? You notice there is no 2/4 at the beginning of the second line. That is because I already have it up here and you don't need to write it on every line. You only need to write it once unless it changes. And you notice here at the very end is our double bar. So that means that that's the end of the song. The lines here on these two are not a double bar, so the 2/4 stays for the whole exercise. Okay, so what should you do on the first line? Clap and count it, just like what we've been doing. So say it out loud and clap it out loud. You can go as fast or as slow as you want. We're going to practice in a minute with a metronome on the computer. The second line is your turn to write in the counts, and if there is any syncopation, you can circle that so that you show me that you know what the syncopation is. Okay, so the second line, you write in the counts and circle the syncopation. The third line, you get to write your whole rhythm by yourself, write in the counts. And if you use a syncopated rhythm, all the better. Okay, you only have 2 measures here. A bar and a measure are the same thing. So some people say bar, some people say measure. It really is just the same thing. Don't get it confused with a bar line here. It just means measure in this case. Okay, so you write your own rhythm. You can be as creative as you want with it. Make sure that it adds up to 2 beats, and then write your count underneath and be able to play it or count it if you want to clap it yourself or play it on your instrument, even better. You can practice these with our scales that we're learning. All right, so here we go. We're going to start at the beginning, and the metronome's going to help us, and we're going to clap and count together, and it's going kind of fast, so good luck. Here we go. Ready? And 1, 2, 1, 2, and. Okay, did you mess up? I did. I can usually clap the rhythm pretty well, but I have trouble sometimes saying the number. So let's start back at the beginning. This time, count in your head and read it and see if that makes better sense to you. Sometimes that's a better method. Here we go. Rest, rest. Rest, rest. Okay, hopefully that worked out better. If not, you can replay this part of the video as many times as you need to get it. And you can go slow by yourself to learn the rhythms. Those are 2 ways to practice this. Second line, I'm not going to count or clap. I'm going to let the computer play it so that you can hear the rhythms, because of course this is the one that you get to write in all the stuff for, so I don't want to give the answer away. I just want to show you what it sounds like. Here we go. One more time on that second line. Here we go. It goes by kind of fast. Okay, so let's recap a little bit. 2/4 means 2 beats in a measure. 4 means the quarter note gets the beat. That means that there are no 3s or 4s in your counting ever in 2/4. Okay. The accents, these little things that maybe look like greater than signs, they are more emphasis on that part. And you heard the computer play that, or you should have heard it. It is often used in a syncopated rhythm, but it doesn't have to be syncopated just to have an accent on it. So be careful. Don't just look for accents. Sometimes I might have thrown a tricky one in there for you. It just means to play it a little bit more with more emphasis, so maybe a little louder or a harder tone. Okay. And don't let it fool you when there's a rest. You notice there's a rest here, and some people, every time they see a rest, they think that must be syncopated, especially if there's an accent here. There is an accent, there is a rest. This is not a syncopated rhythm because the long note is not in between two short notes, so it cannot be syncopated. It is an exciting rhythm, but it's not a syncopated rhythm. Okay? So print this page out. It'll be a PDF, so it should be fine. And then bring it to me with your name on it. Please put your name on it so I can start figuring out who's where on their skill set and know who's turning stuff into me or to your small group sectional leaders. All right, so I really hope this helps you. There was just seemed to be a lot of confusion on clapping and counting and writing in the beats last week, and I think that maybe the reason some of you didn't turn it in was maybe it was just too confusing and you just couldn't figure it out. So hopefully this helps you. Thank you to those of you who have been turning in your work, because that really helps me know what you're learning and what you're not quite understanding yet. So I really appreciate it when you do that. And as always, if you have a question, please feel free to email me back. I will be more than happy to take some time to help you out. Don't stress about it. Just say, hey, I don't understand this, and I will set up either a Zoom call with you or just answer it through email. Sometimes we can do that. Any other questions about band in general or what's going on this quarter, hopefully I can help you with. So just contact me. I'm here to help. And I'm really enjoying working with those of you that I get to see on Thursday, and I'm looking very much forward to the time that we're all together and can do all these lessons in person instead of alone. So I'm hoping that that will help you out. So until next time, see you.